I got rock. See what that means? We're building an aquascape today. And I'm not talking just a pile of rocks, like somebody over here. We're gonna build a nice aquascape. We're back, baby. And today we're making a negative space aquascape. So to do this, we got our trusty rock here. This is Marco rock. This is harvested from ancient reefs buried in Florida somewhere. I don't really know. And of course, we have a hammer and chisel because you need something to smash it apart. And then once we have it all broken into pieces, we do the fun part of putting it back together. So to do that, we got a bunch of glue and epoxy here. Let's jump into it. Step one, we gotta break down the rock. So to do that, I have a lovely chisel here. Always get one with a hand guard if you're a reef pro and doing it the janky way, because you don't want to smash your knuckles. And we get a nice little 3-pound sledgehammer here, so it does the work for you. And we go just find a nice little nook and cranny in there, and just bam. And it's that easy. You're gonna take out all that reef pro rage that you have, and you go and just shatter those big rocks into all these perfectly awesome usable pieces. Look at that, we got a nice cave there. We'll assemble this all to make our dream aquascape. And one pro tip that you want is you want to keep all this dust, all that powder that falls off from breaking it. We'll be using that later. Now that we have all our rock broken into usable pieces, the next step is putting it together to make our aquascape. So to do this, we want to map out where we have to place rock. So this here, this cardboard cutout, is the shape of my tank. And what I did was make a little border for a safety zone, because we don't want to have it go right up against the glass, then we can't scrape anything. So to start building it, I have this lovely foundation piece, so it's just cut nice and smooth. I'm going to be placing that guy in the corner here, using this as a big sturdy foot. And I've been piecing rocks together, trying to figure out what will work nice. And this guy happens to fit in here real nice, just like that. So by putting this here, we get a nice couple hidey holes for some little fish. So it's time to start gluing everything together. When fitting the holes together, we looked for some indents in one, some points in the other. That way we could use them and just fit them together like a small puzzle piece. It made gluing it a lot simpler. So you'll see we took a lot of different angles to try to get them lined up nicely. Then when we finally got a good spot, went around it with the super glue. We'd spray some of the Instaset, which is just a spray acetone. It helps the super glue harden faster. That way we're not sitting there waiting 10 minutes before we go to the next piece. Doing the super glue first allows us to get it mostly set, but at the same time, if we had something that we didn't like or it wasn't working out too great, we could still just break it off, peel off what was left of the super glue, and then remount it in a different way that would work better. So sometimes we'd just take a lot of it and we'd just go attach them together and see what would happen. And most of the time we got lucky and they looked pretty nice. But if not, again, we would just break it apart and try again just to get the look we wanted. Now we're into the final stretch. Here I have some epoxy. This will strengthen our bonds. We're gonna put it right around where we super glued to really get a strong hold in there. So to use this, very simple. We just take it out. I'm gonna cut a little bit off just so then I don't pull out too much at once. Now all we do is just start mixing it together. And then I'll put it into the super glued area. So a nice little chunk here. Just gonna mix together. You see how there's two colors? You wanna just keep mixing it until you have all one colored epoxy blob. All right, now that I got this one color epoxy, I'm gonna roll it into a little bit of a snake. I'm gonna come over to the crack. I'm gonna start laying it on top of where I put the super glue. And you might be thinking, that looks nothing like the rock. How do we go and make this look nice? So I'm taking another piece of rock. I'm just gonna come across here and really squish it into it. So then it connects everything nice and neat. You see that part right there? It looks just like the rock. So remember all that dust I was telling you about earlier? This is where we use it. So we have our epoxy in, we took a rock and we just went in to, you know, add in some texture, make it look nice and natural. And what we're gonna do for the finishing touch, because we didn't want to blend this all in nice. So I got nice, super thin super glue here. So I'm just gonna give it a nice big squirting on it. And I'm coming in with all this powder. So all this lovely powder, we're like, hey, save for later. Look at that, camouflage. And then we'll let it sit for a little bit. And if we still see some gray, we'll come around with a second coat. But for now, just look at that. Where's the epoxy? No one knows. We're making progress here. We got some that are glued, some that are epoxied, some you don't even see anymore. So next thing we're gonna do is just finish it up, add some final pieces, and then, and here we have it. Ladies and gentlemen, the first ReefBros negative space aquascape. So my idea for this aquascape is I really wanted to have a lot of the sand bed open. So that was why I left a lot of that bottom space open. But at the same time, I wanted to have plenty of space to include a bunch of coral. So that's why I shoved in all these shelf pieces along the outside. There's really solid flat foundations so we can mount all the different types of coral on it. We have the point up here that'll have a nice, pretty, we'll put like a torch or something. That's the plan for now. And there's just so many different spots that we can just sit them on nice and easy. And meanwhile, we can have like zoas or something go and crust the whole back. And there's just plenty of room for it while keeping everything open and a lot of room for fish to swim in and out of. Hopefully it'll just be a nice, fun aquascape.
Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I need money for fish.